Hey guys, long time no see, long time no video anyway, and I do apologize for that, but life has been extremely busy, and not necessarily in a bad way. As I've mentioned in the last video or two, my wife did recently have twins, and as you all can well imagine, especially if you have kids as well, having one kid becomes a lot of work, much less two at once, and that's really been taking up a majority of my wife and I's time. As well as my full-time job. I work a lot of hours per week, and I do enjoy the job, but it does take up a lot of my time. And what little time I did have off, which was a few days here and there, I've been spending on my bathroom and other places in my house trying to get some remodeling done and get things a little nicer for our family there. So unfortunately, what free time I would normally try to get out and spend in the shop just hasn't been working out that way. But fortunately, I was able to steal a few minutes out here in the garage tonight to work on, albeit a very small project, but maybe something you guys would be interested in. And what I have here in front of me is Pat's knife, one of the two that I was making for him that I've showed in some other videos as well. But I've been holding off shipping these out to him because he did request one more little accessory, which was no big deal at all. He wanted a fire steel or a ferro rod holder to attach to the sheaths. And it is something I included with his last one, but just didn't really make up until now for these until he requested it. And I figured I'd just go ahead and show you guys kind of what that is, and just a real quick how-to of how I make that. Now, unfortunately, I won't be able to show you the actual process, although it is very simple. I really need both hands, and I can't hold the camera and show that process to you at the same time. But if you've ever worked with Kydex, it should be fairly self-explanatory. Just go ahead and explain the simple method I use, and you guys can maybe copy accordingly. But what this is, it's what I would consider a modular ferro rod or fire steel holder. It is removable, just in case you don't want that added bulk, or maybe you don't have the fire steel. You can always take that off. Or you can mount it in other ways using other options. This can be mounted directly to a tech lock, or maybe even a MOLLE lock, or other options like that. Anything you could run some screws through. You can even maybe run some paracord through those holes and wear it as a necklace as well, if you were so inclined. But that does make it, I think, a little more convenient and a little more handy, giving you that option. And these are very easy to make. They take a very small amount of Kydex, and there's really nothing to them at all. And just to go over the real basic process, what I first do is get my Kydex. I had some scrap laying here from just some excess from some sheaths I made. And I just went ahead and put my, I got a 2-inch wide piece of plate steel here that I laid over it, clamped to my table, and just trim that excess off with a utility knife. And then once I do that, I get this 2-inch piece. Actually, this is the piece of Kydex, very uniform, very straight. And what I'll then do with that, instead of going ahead and cutting off a small piece, I like to leave it one piece, just to give an extra handle, a little more convenience there. And then I'll take my heat gun and really just run it over that final inch, maybe a little more than an inch or so, to get that nice and flexible. You don't have to heat the whole piece, obviously, but really just enough to roll over your fire steel. And I don't actually have the fire steel that Pat uses. It's a Light My Fire ferrocerium rod, I believe. And I looked up the specs online based on the model he gave me, and found that it was actually a 3/8 diameter fire steel when brand new. So since I didn't have the fire steel on me, I did have some 3/8 bolts here. You could probably even use a piece of all thread. I don't think the threads would really make that much difference or transfer into the Kydex. But I had a smooth shank of a 3/8 inch bolt, and all I did was heat that end up, kind of roll it over by hand, and just hold that in place with my fingers to get the rounded portion there. And what you end up with when you do that, if you get everything tight and hold it together well, is a fairly snug fire steel holder. As you can see, that's not going anywhere. Although if you do shake it, obviously it's going to want to pop out there maybe a little bit easier. But one thing you can do if you like a real snug fit is just go ahead and very mildly heat that up afterwards and kind of squeeze that together just a little bit more. And although it may take it a little more out of round than when you had it there in the first place, once that steel goes in there, it'll fill it right back out and give you a nice sufficient amount of tension for holding that steel. But what I actually recommend, since fire steels do wear out with multiple strikes and lose that initial diameter, I do recommend maybe a lanyard, as you've probably seen a lot of guys use, for sticking your steel in, then wrapping that around the whole thing, around the bottom of your steel, and that'll hold it in place very securely. But another thing I actually do, just to kind of add a little bit more tension without taking it as much out of round, is I'll actually, when I line the holes up to drill for the sheath, I'll actually offset the holes just a little bit, maybe not even a 1/16 from where the holes would be, so that when this is mounted to the sheath, it actually pulls it over and the sheath kind of presses into it right there, gives a little bit more tension. Now this is some pretty thick Kydex, you can get a little bit thinner, but I found that this is more than adequate for that method, and gives just a little bit more tension when it's mounted to the sheath, and that also kind of keeps it from rattling around or anything else. So just a real quick, simple fire steel holder. As you can see, it's probably maybe 2 by 2 square, maybe a little bit longer across the length there, but I like to round the corners off, drill my holes, and then that mounts right along with the leather belt loop as well, and will make for a real nice package. So just a quick video, guys, maybe an idea that you might not have already had. If so, oh well, figured I'd make a video anyway. So just a real simple accessory. You can really make these for any knife that is Molle or Tek-Lok compatible, and just makes carrying your fire steel that much more convenient. So appreciate the views, guys. Again, apologize for the lack of videos lately. Hopefully, as the babies get a little older and things settle down, I'll be out here to make a few more videos for you guys. So again, thanks for watching. Have a great day.